Are you ready for this spaghetti? Let's do another big PulseChain update, my friends. This is the PulseChain PLS price chart. I'm just going to show you the overall theme as to what's going on now. You pretty much know it now, but look at this. This is Pulse. We are stuck in a channel. Everything relies on Pulse, friends, just so you know. Everything relies on PLS. Everything is bonded to PLS, okay? It's spiritually and financially bonded. Also, another thing you got to know, right? It's not just PLS, friends. PLS is a layer 1 token. It's a network, it's a city, but it's also a spiritual cousin of Ethereum, okay, which we're going to go through now. You probably know where this is going. Like, uh-oh, I know Ethereum is poop. There's a lot of soy. You know exactly what's coming next, okay? But we still have hope for the future. Okay, so PulseChain core coins are still waiting to break out. They need Ethereum to rise more, okay? So PulseChain, PLS, friends, of course, like we're more than 70% below SAC price. This is a chart right here. I'm going to leave Eric Wall's bet just as a nice marker because it's 10x above SAC price. Hopefully we get there. Obviously, the first thing we want to get through actually is if we reverse back to here around 0.83x, that is reversing the Interpol damage, okay? And then up here is SAC price. So above here, this will be pretty much where we want to get to. But, you know, we want to get there. Are we going to get there, right? We need something to change in the business cycle. Now, another thing we got to look at, friends, there's a couple of soy boys still don't understand how this game works. So these soy boys on their shitty little 7-minute time frame, they see that Ethereum went up 2% and then PulseChain went down 6%. And they go, oh, why is it not working? Why is it not working? You're a bug eater. You're a pencil neck. You got noodle arms. You skip leg day. You don't have straight posture. You have brown tarnished slippers. Your opinion means nothing. But I'm now going to show you how this thing works. Okay? If you click up the top here, see on your shitty little 7-minute time frame, if you actually click on M, what does M stand for? Friendship. Okay? M is monthly. Monthly time frames, the correlation is still not 100%. It's a general trend though. Okay? So if we look at Ethereum, for example, Ethereum, friends, on its monthly, what has it done? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 red candles. If we're lucky, this is going to finish green, but who cares? It's 4 or 5 red candles, okay? So what did PulseChain do? It did 4 red candles. Now, what actually happened is we have reversed up on this one, but you say, oh, but it's kind of not working. No, shh. Okay? If you go back to Ethereum, what did it do in its last candle? It dropped 27%. If you go to PulseChain, what did it do on its last red candle? Okay, it actually go to Ethereum's 4th one. See, Ethereum's 4th candle, it closed down 18%. So what did PulseChain do in its 4th red candle? 52%. Whoa. 52% is a lot bigger. Yeah, so pretty much another way to say this is PulseChain went way further down than it should have. Could have been a PulseChain pioneer dumping and taking the liquidity before the other Jeets could be that. Or could just be natural market selling. I don't know. I don't care. Okay. It went down further than it should have, so it just recovered faster. If you actually look at how far it's down from the 4th red monthly candle to now, it's around 29, 30%. It's kind of near what Ethereum is. But there's actually another cheat code, my friends. That's why I'm here giving you this nice, juicy, sexy, yummy update. If you go to the Pulse to ETH ratio, which is this chart here, remember you got to invert it on the pair. Pulse to ETH ratio, you'll see it's pretty much been going nowhere. What does this mean? It means they've pretty much kind of been lockstep, PulseChain and Ethereum, for quite a long time, actually. This is since September last year. Isn't that wild? Now, here's the thing. If you actually zoom in, it's not actually really horizontal, is it? Because if you draw a baseline here, look at this. This is PulseChain outperforms Ethereum by 35% up here. And then when it comes back down here, you are 24% worse. Then you are 35% better. Then down here, you were 46% worse, which is last month. Then you went up 33% better. Do you see what I mean, friends? But actually, these charts, they're very, very, very low. Okay, the PulseChain ETH SAC ratio from 4 years ago is up here. So We still need to do another 3.4x rally without Ethereum moving, and now you're break even from 4 years ago. Okay? So now you understand, right? Oh, the leverage, the slingshot leverage, it worked on the downside. Yes, that's the risk you take, okay? The risk you take when you're in crypto, yeah, the upside firstly is life-changing gains potential. Huge. But there's a risk, right? The risk is your liquidity risk. It might not do what you think it's going to do in that short period of time. And that's exactly where we are today. Still waiting for us to climb on through. We can sit here and we can guess when it's going through, but no one knows anything, okay? We need the business ISM cycle to go up. This is pretty much the business ISM data. It will move, by the way, with the price. So if Ethereum's back to 2,600, maybe business ISM's up to like 50 again. If Ethereum goes to 3,500, business ISM is now up to 52. Okay, it's like, oh, wow, they're moving up a line alongside. Okay, but alt seasons traditionally, they've started when business ISM is 52 plus. That's the business cycle, because altcoins are a reflection of the business cycle. It doesn't make sense to a new person, but it makes sense to us. Why? Because, friends, let's actually crank it a bit. Why does it make sense? Because crypto is a long duration asset. Yeah, but newbies, okay, people who skip leg day, people who enjoy eating bugs, they think it's a short duration asset. That's why they keep trying to trade in and out. That's why they keep getting wrecked. If you treat it like a long duration asset, it means you're taking risk for a long period of time, all right? If you treat it like that, it makes sense, right? Because the business cycle goes up and people start to feel more confident about the future. They've made profits. They want to invest for the future. That's why crypto goes up in that period of time, okay? So those soy boys who are complaining about 1 or 2 or 3 days when you have tiny liquidity in PulseChain, if it's only like $5 million on the bid, it's nothing. Okay, all it takes is like 5 to 10 million to be inserted and you start whacking up hard. But we just got to wait for that period. No one wants to step in until they see the big speeds like Ethereum rising up. Now, how far could Ethereum rise up? Obviously, we want big numbers, but I've just drawn this Fibonacci level. We're hoping it gets to 7,200. Remember when we were here last year, I thought we were just going to go up, and then we didn't, okay? So we had, instead of 5 green, we had 5 red. Never before happened before. It is what it is. This is just markets. That's why you don't go all in and need this. Oh, I need this money next week. I'm going to go in, okay? Those people that tend to get wrecked in markets over time. Believers will keep holding and believing. PulseX, friends. See, PulseX is now hitting 7.05% of the buy and burn, which is wonderful to see. So remember, PulseX chewing up, Pulse, Hex, Inc. Everything is pretty much bonded to Pulse, right? And now I've actually got the P-Hex to Pulse ratio, which is interesting. It has now flipped red on the weekly super trend. So because it had a bit of overperformance, this swing up here, we might see this thing come back down. Now, how will this thing come back down? Well, P-Hex could just dump by itself. Or, we hope we get this part, Pulse outperforms it. But how much is it really going to outperform it? Maybe not much, friends. Maybe all it does is go here. Like, let me show you. This is just a difference of like 25%. You know, so maybe one thing goes 6x, that's PX, and then Pulse does 8x. You know what I mean? It's not like, it's not, because these things are spiritually bonded, it's the same founder, you got Richard Hart, and it's the same community. That's why they move pretty much, they're pretty tight for spreads. You know, they don't have these giant big blowouts. Even someone tried to send that up here. It's probably Richard himself, by the way. Okay, because this thing, we didn't see a single new PHEX person come into crypto whatsoever. It just came jammed up here and it's actually started to bleed down already. So maybe this is what happens. Maybe this is the whole goal, is like bait people into trading, people like shifting money around and end up losing, and it contributes to the buy and burn, which is interesting, right? Or maybe Richard was just trying to like start something. Hey, let's see if there's people waiting to be lurked out there. Hopefully one day we get to see that with PulseChain, friends, as well, with PLS, in terms of for the whole ecosystem. So if Pulse PLS like maybe breaks out and someone just starts jamming it up, maybe you do see a continuation of people out there in crypto who want to participate. It's a good thing. People love using PulseChain, right? As well, friends, there are more scarce tokens that are appearing for PulseX, right? They're more scarce over time because of the buy and burn. Also, we also saw Richard make this tweet here, right? I wonder who has a registry, charity, or similar type of non-profit entity that might want to spread the good word about free and open source software. I hear many countries offer discounts for such activities. Who might know someone? So, basically, friends, a translation for that for you. Here's a translation for you. Number 1. The PulseChain sacrifice money went to a non-profit organization. So you remember, friends, from the Interpol, the Interpol, the corrupt lactating man boobs, so that everyone in estrogen union, they're like, yes, eat the bugs, yes, soy milk for everybody, dilute your population, dilute. That's pretty much the estrogen union out here. They made this corrupt, bogus, fake Interpol notice for Richard Hart, and they said aggravated tax fraud. Aggravated, like, oh, you've aggressively evaded tax. He's basically saying it's a bunch of BS because the PulseChain sacrifice and PulseX sacrifice, right, went to a non-profit organization, I guess, in a country where they don't get taxed. That's the translation of that message. It's pretty much saying Interpol's bogus, okay? So tax was not needed to be paid on it. So the European lactating man boob Interpol notice is actually a red clown nose notice and will eventually go away sooner rather than later. So a lot of people are wondering, hey, if you beat the SEC, why aren't you streaming? It could be the Interpol. We're waiting for the Interpol thing to clear. And I'm here to let you know, true to the spooky nature of markets, we might see Richard Hart, Interpol, and the streaming, like the good news around them. They might perfectly line up with macro news, which includes Ethereum rising, the business ISM ticking up, right? Maybe the Fed's doing more background QE. That's what happens in markets, friends. You don't get one thing having amazing news forever. It's very rare. You're a unicorn. Things like random Solana pump fund coins, and they just die off, right? The big macro things, they all happen together to the up and to the downside, right? Look what happened to the downside, right? Isn't it crazy, right? We had business ISM go really, really down. Richard Hart gets like, you know, the Interpol notice appears, just bad stuff appears, right? So hopefully the cloud clear. Until then, I keep holding and believing. How high do I think these things can go? I'll just show you, friends. I still think we can do 50 to 100x from today, which would be about a total of 1.9 billion market cap. That's what the whole ecosystem is today. So if you do about 150 divided by 1.9, it's about, 75x from today. If you just want to see these numbers, and remember, these are assuming the ratios don't move. So the ratios could move, but we'll just do 75x on everything just so you can see. So for Pulse, a 75x from today would put it, here you go, 20x SAC price around there, 20x SAC price. If you look at PulseX, it would be roughly the same as well because the ratio is near the same, but I'll do it here. Where would a 75x take us? It would be around 16x SAC price, roughly. What about PHEX as well? Let's go to PHEX USD dollar. PHEX is about 0.5 cent. So a 75x would take it all the way up here. Let's see, where would 75x take us? It would be around 44 cents. Okay, that's PHEX itself. And if you do EHEX, which would be about, let's just say it's a third of that, but the ratios might change, right? A third of like 45 cents is like, 12 to 15 cents. Hopefully we get there. And then INC, if you want to do 75x on INC, what would happen? Let's go and do the 75x. There you go. It would be about 86 bucks. But here's the thing, friends. I won't be surprised if Richard himself does some ratio manipulation where like Pulse goes up hard, and then once it hits its target, right, he's rotating out of that, and then he starts smacking up PHEX. And so Pulse comes back down, and then PHEX goes up. Like Pulse drops 50%, and then PHEX does another 2x. And so it might go from 40 cents to like 80 cents. I won't be surprised if we see something like that. Pretty much, it might mean, I'm just guessing, man, I'm just guessing, okay? It might mean we don't see everything top out together. Okay, we see something top out, and then a day or a week later, it's dropped down and something else smacks up. That's what we might see. That might be, depending on the liquidity and everything, it might be a way to game it. It make it look like everything went up at the same time, but it didn't. But yeah, I'm just thinking out loud there. And I've also included for PDI, if this continues, it would be something around 40 billion market cap. There might be burning and stuff out here, but if you add up everything out here, it might be a roughly 150 to 200 billion market cap size for the whole ecosystem. Now, I'm just guessing. Of course, I don't know anything. I'm just guessing. And they are removing the origin address. And remember, there is key resistances around that $100 billion zone. But yeah, we don't get any of this unless we get higher prices unlocked for ETH, pretty much. That's what it comes down to. A lot of my friends, I'm noticing a lot of people get really upset the fact that you're tied to ETH. Dude, what do you like? That's being upset you're tied to Bitcoin. It just doesn't, like, the market doesn't give a shit what you think. Okay, it's gonna do whatever it's gonna do. Okay, if you can claim you are God's gift to crypto and you're the greatest crypto ever. Oh, you've been going down for 4 years and you can't move up without Ethereum. Guess what, dude? The market doesn't care about your opinion. Okay, it literally doesn't give one flying truck does not care about your opinion. Okay, but for the rest of us, we just use this more as like a Zen approach. Okay, it's abundance mindset. You're like, look, okay, the same cloud that took us down can eventually come and take us up. Let me know what you think about that. Of course, like at this point, a lot of people, I know what everyone's saying, man. They just want to get out. They want to get out. But yeah, man, it all depends on that Bitcoin and Ethereum price, friends. It's not. I hope what I've taught you over time is it's less to do with us individually. It's more to do with all of us together in this crypto cycle, as you get to see by now. But it does play with your head a bit because you see like random freaking poop coins on Solana go up. But you don't know, it's just like a tiny, tiny subset. Like you don't see all the other junk that's still dead, for example. Like most other things, they're still down. Like this is Giga, for example. And the only way this thing went up, it's down 78, 80%. The only way it went up is because Sol's strong. Okay, so that's why it helps. If you're bonded to something strong and it goes up, you do really, really well. But also, right, Ethereum was super, super weak. We're a derivative of Ethereum like every other altcoin, and that explains pretty much what's happened so far. But what are you going to do from now? I mean, I continue to hold. We'll see, I guess, how the cycle plays out. A lot of people think it's going to be over by June or July. We'll see. Like, subscribe, belly button, all. Catch you soon.